Hi there, I'm Dale Mathis coming to you from my home studio in Sun City, Arizona, and today I have an instructional video for those owners of the Dale Mathis edition of the Roland FR4X. This is another one of the basics to help you understand how this instrument operates. So today, the first thing that I want to do, since this has been a reoccurring problem for years, is to tell 4X owners about how their system can get locked up. And what can happen is if you've got batteries in your accordion and you have put that accordion away in a closet or have not used it for 3, 4, 5 months, and then you come back to use it and it won't work, the issue is the batteries that you have put in the accordion. The current in there, those batteries are always running down, and there's always a little bit of draw from those batteries. And so what can happen is when you try turning on the accordion, it won't turn on at all, or sometimes if it does turn on, you can't get it turned off, or there's all kinds of funny noises. And what you have to, and the other thing that can happen is if you've got a set of batteries in your accordion and you rarely use the batteries, but you play with the AC chord, take the batteries out. You don't need them. Take the batteries out. The accordion will work just fine on the AC chord alone, and you don't need the batteries. They do not act as a backup. And so the cure is that you've got to get the batteries out of the accordion, and you've got to get the white Molex plug pulled out so that there is a disconnect from the power. And if you then plug your accordion in with the AC chord and it comes back to life, well, everything is good. But many chances are that it is still hung up and you'll have to do a reset. And if you have to do a reset, then of course you give me a call if you're one of my Dale Mathis edition owners, and I'll talk you through the process, and we'll go from there. All right, so that's a warning from years of working with the 4X. This has been a problem for many folks. The next thing that I want to talk about is really accordion basics on how to get the sounds in the left hand changed. So we're going to go in here. Before I even do this, there's another step. I need you to go to my website, dalemathisaccordion.com, dalemathisaccordion.com. Click on the information tab, and you're going to find a PDF there and this video for this conversation today. And I'll need you to download the PDF document, because basically what I'm going to do is just read it for you right now and give you visual of how all of this stuff works. So once you've got that PDF printed, then come back to the video and we'll go through this thing. And the basic subject is changing the sounds in your left hand. There are many folks who just don't quite comprehend how this works, so that's the focus of this video. So I trust you've got your PDF downloaded, and so the first thing that we're going to do is just turn the accordion on. So that's the basic sound of the left hand when it's turned on. Now, if you look at left hand here, the only button that's lit, it says bass and chord. Well, that means that bass and chord sound, like a traditional accordion, is playing over here. And in the Dale Mathis edition, these 7 buttons over here have all been reprogrammed. They are not Roland originals. So here are the 7 different sounds. Here's button number 1. Here's button number 2. Number 3. Oops, here's 3. Here's number 4. That's the one that comes on automatically when you turn the accordion on. Here's number 5. Here's number 6. And here's number 7. And these are non-traditional sounds, but I created all of these as a means to have something interesting to play with your right hand. So I'm just going to pick a musette sound here from my right hand. So I can just change those. And if you want a lot of emphasis over on the left-hand side in this mode, I'm just going to turn my balance control more towards the bass. And basically what that does is just makes this side quieter. So now I get... Okay, so the basics of what that button is doing is bass and chord, and it's accordion sounds. Okay, so we've now just talked about the very basic part. Now the next part, and I'm actually just going to read this right off the instructions. So if you have your, here's a copy of it. Oops, get into the camera, there we go. If you've downloaded your copy, so it says to turn on orchestra bass. All right, so I'm going to do that. Orchestra bass. And when I turn on orchestra bass, notice that the bass and chord light has gone to flashing. So now the accordion reed sound, that's gone because now the orchestra bass is on. Okay, and right below that, the next words that I have on that sheet are bass sounds for Dale Mathis turn on set, which is set number 001. And it says register number 1 is string bass. So register number 2 is a string bass variation. Number 3 is a bass guitar. Number 4 is a tuba bass. Number 5 is a soft pipe organ bass. Number 6 is the deep piano or 16-foot piano. Number 7 is the Oktoberfest tuba. Oops, let's get 7. And these do respond to your bellows. But number 6 does not. Number 6, that piano sound, I set that in the fixed mode so that the bellows can be completely closed. And that's because I discovered that in that piano mode that most accordion players can't get that piano to sound right because it's a touch sensitive thing. So you get 1 or 2 nice and loud and then the next 3 or 4 are soft, and that can be annoying, so I just set the volume to fixed. Okay, so that's where we are right now. Now, the next part of this is, let's see, I've left that at the piano. I want to change it back again to the string bass, which is number 1. Okay, the next, and be sure and have your accordion out and trying this stuff, and you can just stop this video and try it, and so that you're getting the practical experience of hands-on. All right, so we're going to go to the next section. Now, the next thing we're going to talk about is to choose chord button sounds. So the next instruction is turn on orchestra chord button. Okay, well, orchestra chord button is right here, and it says orchestra chord / freebase. If this is confusing to you, you can actually take a piece of tape and cover up that word freebase. because most of my customers are never ever going to use freebase. They're just going to use orchestra chord. So what that does now, when right now, you hear we still have accordion. So if you want orchestra like string bass with accordion chords, that's the way to do it, is just turn the orchestra bass button on, but no orchestra chord button. So then it sounds like this. Okay, now what we're going to do is turn on orchestra chord, and now what's going to happen is when I hit a chord button over here, number 1 sound comes on, and it's the nylon guitar. And if you look at the list, it's nylon guitar with register 1. Number 2 is an organ. And this does respond to what you do with the bellows. Let me see number 1. See, number 1, you don't have to pull the bellows. But number 2, you do. If I don't pull the bellows, nothing happens. Number 3, tenor sax. Oops. That one also you have to pull the bellows. And that will respond with different sounds depending upon what you do with the bellows. Next one, jazz organ, that's number 5. Whoops. Number 4 rather, orchestra strings. And you notice that one's got a sustain on it. So for what we've got right now is the string bass was on the orchestra bass. And we've got orchestra strings. You get that nice sustain in the strings. It's great for playing waltzes. So let's see. And we still have that musette here. Let's make the accordion part softer and just accent the bass. Okay, so that was orchestra strings. That's register number 4. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4. It's the one with the 3 notches. The next one is jazz organ. And that one too, it depends upon how you pull your bellows. If you don't pull the bellows, nothing happens. And the sound stays consistent. Now this next one, register number 6, is the jazz guitar. Oh, and that one you don't have to pull the bellows. But the sound does die away. But that would be like the strings on a guitar, you know, you strum them and eventually the sound goes away. So you would have okay, and the last one is the piano, number 7. And that one, again, you do not have to pull the bellows. So one combination that you might like to try is to have the piano playing on the bass buttons instead of that string bass, and piano also playing on the chord. But here's a trick how to get, you know, we turned the orchestra chord button on. That was the last button that was pushed, and so these 7 buttons now became active for changing the chord. But how do I make them active to change the bass? Because I want the piano sound now in my bass. Well, the answer is that you've got to turn off the orchestra bass button over here so that you get accordion sounds back again, and then turn it back on again. Okay, so it's always the last of these buttons that's pushed. That's the one that activates over here. So I want the piano over here instead of the string bass, and I know that that's on number 6. So if I hit that, so now I've got piano in the bass, which is a low octave, and I've got a chord piano. So it's like a stride piano player. You know, when you play stride piano, you have to get down in the bass and then reach up for the chord. Bump, 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 bump. Well, that's pretty hard to play, but on your accordion, you just do. Okay, so that is, I don't know if that's the setting I used for entertainer or not, but okay, so far, now we're about halfway down the page on this document that you downloaded. And so the next thing, after the list of chord sounds, it says, the sounds you have picked for your left hand are not affected by registration changes you make for the right hand. Okay, so that means that this piano and all this stuff over here, no matter what I do for changes over here, it will not affect this side. So like I had this little accordion sound, but if I put an organ sound on it, nothing changes. Or if I take an orchestra sound, okay, so far for that. Now, the next thing, it says, and we're talking a little bit about the right hand now. It says, on your right hand, the 7 registration buttons will change accordion sounds if the accordion light is on. Okay, so turn on the accordion light, and now these 7 buttons will change accordion sounds. If I turn on the orchestra light, then the accordion light turns off, and now I have 7 orchestra sounds. If I hit the organ button, then the orchestra light will turn off, and now I get organ sounds. Okay, and there's one more aspect of this part that I just want to cover. I didn't write on the sheet, but I'm going to turn on the orchestra just to demonstrate this. Is Orchestra 1. It's got that twangy guitar on it. Down here on the bottom, you've got a white button called A, B. And what that does, if you look here, you see that in white print it says register number 1, and in blue print it says register number 8. So how you get to register number 8 is by pushing this white button down on the bottom here, which is also marked A, B. It's like a toggle switch. Do you want A or do you want B? And how you can tell whether you have A or B on, A or B turned on, let's clarify that. There's a little red light right here in the upper corner. Right now it's turned off. You don't see it. It just looks like a white dot. But I'm going to hit the AB down on the bottom here. And when I do, that red light turns on. And that means that now the blue sounds are turned on. And if you look on the registration sheet that I sent you when you purchased your accordion, you will find that there are not only 7 orchestra sounds, there are actually 14. So now we're in the blue section, or the numbers 8 through 14. So on number 8 is an accordion sound that comes out over here. And number 2, there's a French horn. Number 3, you've got strings. Number 4, you've got a piano. Number 5, you've got mandolin. I said 5, it's actually 12. Number 13, you've got the little celesta. And number 14, you've got an organ. This is actually the chord sound. And that chord sound is what you use when you combine the accordion and the orchestra together. So if it's just going to go back to an accordion sound. Okay, I've got that bassoon on. If I hit the accordion button and the orchestra buttons together, now I will get that accordion bassoon, plus I'll get that little chord organ sound. Okay, so much for that. Now I want to do one more thing. I'm going to go back to this orchestra, and I'm going to hit number 11, where I've got the piano, and I've still got the piano over here. So I can go. And if I want to change to a different orchestra sound over here, I just hit. Or if I have that piano sound on and I want to change to an accordion sound, then I've got to reach up here and hit the accordion. So now, is this overwhelming? Take a break. Turn the video off for a little bit and come back to it after you've digested some of this stuff. Okay, so I'm going to come back here again. And getting down to the end of page 1, it says, on your left hand, the 7 registration buttons next to the bellows will change accordion sounds if the bass and chord light is on. Okay, so right now I've got the orchestra bass and orchestra chord lights on. If I want the accordion bass back on, I'm just going to turn both of those off. And now, so now I'm just back to accordion bass. All right, let's see what the next thing is. You can only change the orchestra bass sounds if the orchestra bass button was the last button you pushed, and we've kind of talked about that. If I want the orchestra bass, I have to hit that. If both of these are already on, you have to, well, here, let's just do it. Since now I've got string bass over here, I've still got piano. And I want to change this, get rid of the piano, and put the string bass back on. Well, the last button that I happened to hit was the orchestra chord. So when I hit, and that was the last one that I touched, so if I change any of these, it's not going to change my bass sound, it's going to change my chord sound. That was the last one that I touched. If I want that string bass, I've got to turn this off and then turn it back on again, and then it activates the bass buttons over here. And so the string bass was up here. Okay, so now back to my instructions. If both orchestra bass and chord are on, okay, we just talked about that. And let's see. On the next page, if you want orchestra bass and orchestra chord lights are on, and you want to change orchestra chord sound, all right, we just talked about that. All of these, next paragraph, all of these sound changes you have made on the left hand will go away when the accordion is turned off. So if you are completely confused about what you have done here and you just want to get back to zero, just turn the accordion off and it will just come back on as an accordion again. All right, let's see what the next thing says. Let's see, all the sound changes you have made to the left hand will go away when the accordion is turned off, or if you happen to hit the user program. Now, the user program, there are 98 Dale Mathis user programs that I've got loaded into your accordion. So I'm just going to give you an example here of what could happen. Say we had that piano, so I don't want that. I'm going to put the piano back on, and I'm going to put the chord back on, piano chord. And then if you turn on the user program, and you know I've got 98 of them here in this accordion, and that is covered in one of my other videos, but I'm just going to turn that on. And I'm going to go to bank number 3, and I'm going to pick my register number 1, and all of a sudden you remember that piano, bass, and piano chord, it's gone now. Because I've got the oompa set turned on with the user program. In user program, every aspect of the instrument, the right hand sounds, the left hand sounds, the drums, how loud everything is, that's all been pre-programmed for you by me so that you can find sounds real easily. And of course the whole function of user program is to put a group of orchestral sounds together so you can do a whole band and just changing those 7 registers. And again, I've talked about this in many of my other videos, but we happen to have register bank or user program bank number 3 on. And so in number 1, let's see. And if I hit register number 2, accordion, if I hit number 3, and if I hit number 4, and number 5, and number 6, and number 7. Okay, so anyhow, there's a difference between a set, you know, in the set all of the buttons are active so that you can change all 7 of the accordion sounds, all 14 really of the orchestra sounds, all 7 of the organ sounds. But in user program, it's all locked in. All right, so now the last of this discussion is, it says on page 2, if you want to save the new sounds you have selected, you will have to save this registration to a new user program. Okay, and I have a separate video and instructions for how to save a new user program. But a little bit of warning here is Dale Mathis has 98 user programs already loaded into your accordion. And if you want to save a new one for some setting that you have just created here, you're going to lose one of those 98. You have to decide which one you don't want anymore. So before you do all this changing around, you have to go through your user programs and like say, not everybody needs to use the liturgical programs. So maybe those 7 are where you'll put your own creations. And of course you always want to write down the name of the registration number, like liturgical. Let me just go to that here. Not quite remembering where it is. I think it's on number 7. Yes, liturgical is number 7, which means that instead of getting like piano stuff over here, you're going to get, let's turn it on, organ stuff, and you're going to get and number 2, and number 3, and number 4, and number 5. Well, if you don't think you're ever going to need any of that stuff, Well, that could be where you put your own registrations. Okay, so I know there will probably be even more questions about what I discussed here, but hopefully this will have given you a great introduction into what these buttons for the left hand do and how you can create and change your sounds and make different settings. All right, so thanks so much for sticking with me through this video, and of course make sure that you have downloaded the PDF so that you could follow along with the video while you've got the accordion on your shoulders so we could see what's going on. All right, again, my website, DaleMathisAccordion.com, is where there's a lot of information. There's more than 50 videos and PDF documents on controlling your Roland accordion. And of course, my supplier is Craft Music in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. That's where you can order a new Roland accordion with the Dale Mathis programming. So thanks so much for watching today, and I hope this was helpful. See you later.